But the one thing that is very threatening to many countries who take the environment for granted is the emerging climate crisis. Of course, Peru is unique in the fact that you are home to 70% of all of the tropical glaciers in the world. And in this thin strip between the Andes and the Pacific Ocean, there is what the scientists call the rain shadow of the Andes. And because there is such little rainfall on this dry strip next to the ocean, the dependence on water resources that originate in the rainfall in the mountains and the seasonal melting of the ice and snow, it is really important to agriculture, for drinking water, for business, for human civilization here. And the fact that Peru has lost 22% of its glaciers just in the last 30 years has already been a source of concern. The fact that the rainfall patterns have been changing, not only here but all over the world, is a source of concern. And all of us learned as young students about what the scientists call the hydrological cycle, a fancy phrase that simply means the water evaporates from the oceans and into the air and falls as rain and snow and then works its way back to the ocean. And that entire cycle worldwide is now being accelerated because the accumulation of global warming pollution not only heats up the Earth's atmosphere, it heats up the oceans as well. And the amount of water evaporating into the air is increasing. Even more significantly, the amount of moisture that is held by warmer air has gone up significantly. Just since 1970, there has been an increase of 4% in the Earth's average humidity. And that may not sound like a lot, but it turns out to be very, very significant. And it is having a very large impact all around the world. But back to the glaciers for a moment. In the year 2009, last year, a report from the World Bank formally issued a warning that the glaciers of the Andes and the permanent snow cover on this region's peaks could disappear in as little as 2 decades. It also reported that Peru already has lost 12% of its freshwater supplies as a result of the loss of more than a fifth of the ice and snow just in the last 30 years. I also read reports out of this city in April that Peru suffered a so-called glacier slide in the Ancash region of central Peru, requiring an evacuation. So these and other signs tell us that something is happening in the world as a whole. I'm aware that this audience is made up of people from different backgrounds. There, I'm told, are many people from the business community here. There are students here, and I wanted to say a special word of welcome to the students. And you have been characterized as particularly successful students, and I congratulate you on your achievements. There are people from the government here and from NGOs and from civil society. For those from the business community, I would like to point out in particular that the transition that the world's business community is now beginning to go through in response to the climate crisis is a time of opportunity, not just a time of challenge. And when I use the phrase climate crisis, some of you know that the word crisis in English, or crise in Espanol, is a single palabra. But in Chinese and in Japanese, when the word crisis is written, they use two characters side by side. And the first character by itself means danger, but the second character means opportunity. And so I've always felt that that is a better way of communicating the concept of a crisis. It is full of danger, but also oportunidad. And the opportunity can be found in many ways. We are now using many technologies and many long-established practices from 100 years ago and more, some of which are very inefficient. And sometimes change that is positive and beneficial is difficult simply because of inertia. And having a reason to adopt more modern approaches and more efficient technologies can simultaneously reduce pollution and reduce waste, improving efficiency, improving profits, and improving the quality of life. Many, if not most, of the businesses that have set out to provide leadership in combating the climate crisis have found to their surprise and pleasure that it has been good for their bottom line and that they have benefited in many ways. Their brands are enhanced and the public goodwill they receive increases. They find it easier to recruit the best students coming out of universities and trade schools. They find it easier to retain the best employees. They also find ways to identify risks that they might not have paid attention to except for their focus on ways to reduce pollution and to become more efficient. For our society as a whole, and here I speak of the global civilization of which we are all a part, this is an opportunity to create millions of new jobs in areas like solar energy and wind energy and geothermal energy and the retrofitting of buildings and the buildings of fast trains and smart electrical grids. And let me also say, since Telefonica is our host here, that in country after country, telecommunications has proven to be one of the important solutions to becoming more efficient. More use of video conferencing as well as audio conferencing. More use of what is called flex time with less travel and less CO2 generated in that process. More use of communications grids to allow businesses to find the inefficiencies and to eliminate unnecessary waste. So I did want to make special mention of that.